All right, welcome back. Another day here working on the Lightning Redemption project. Now that we have a lot of the interior stuff taken care of, we're going to move on to the next phase here. And when I had originally made an outline or basically a blueprint, an idea, roadmap of what to do on this project, once I got the electrical system functioning, dash back in it, things like that, I was going to move on. The next step is the transmission. Now, transmission's in there. It's bolted up to the engine. I don't think it ever left the engine from the previous Lightning, but it needs mounted. It's just been 2 years. It's just been hanging by a strap. So I have a aftermarket cross member that's made for the Lightning transmission and engine combination. So I have that to put in. We have transmission cooler lines, the transmission cooler that mounts up here in front of the AC condenser and stuff. So we need to get all that stuff done. We also have the transmission dipstick, which, let's see here. I have part of it. I kind of tried test fitting it right there. There it is. Just trying to get it fished in there and put in place. There's a lot of motor to go around and things like that. So that's probably gonna be the first thing that I tackle, is getting that dipstick mounted up and things like that. And then I'm gonna have to lay on my back and do everything else on the ground. But first things first, let's get that transmission dipstick laid out and ready to go. All right, random side note. I don't know where I'm going to put this in any of the videos, but I just want to show the people what tools here I am working out of. Now, my day job, regular mechanic, I have just an obscene amount of tools that make my life much easier. I have various forms of sockets, extensions, ratchets, things like that, just in various sizes, whole kinds of power tools. But I'm working out of a $200 Husky Home Depot Christmas special with just, you know, a couple rows of sockets here. You know, and at least, the very least, the sockets are pretty plentiful. Wrenches are pretty weak, but that's really all I got. That's what I'm doing this entire project with, is just some very basic tools. I do have one of my extra snap-on 1/4-inch ratchets here with me, and I do have a impact driver, 1/4-inch impact driver, with just some socket attachments, just to give me a little bit of power tools. But this is what I'm using. So make your judgment there if that makes it all the more better of a story, or if it's laughable. Up to you. All right, so here we are underneath. Got the transmission cross member bolted in The strap holding the transmission up for nearly 2 years is gone. Moving one step closer, right here you can see where the shift linkage is finally hooked up. So a lot of the stuff with the transmission is going to be good to go here. I also have the dipstick in place. Let's see if I can get a decent shot of that. A little bit hard to maneuver underneath here. You can see the transmission dipstick right here. It has a stub shaft, and then the upper tube goes up there. It's a little bit difficult to kind of fish it around, but got her in there, bolted it to the side and head so it's nice and tight, and now we're on to the cooler lines. All right, so here we are. I've been trying to fish the transmission lines in. I have the transmission cooler mounted. One of the two lines fits just fine, but when I was matching it up to what I have left of the OE lines, this one right here, it's touching the transmission here in the starter, and it's just not quite lining up. When I had this one matched up to what's left of the OE ones, it didn't quite look like it was right. I thought maybe a slightly different routing would still work, but it's just heavily interfering. So gonna have to order in one other line. The other two seem to be okay. The cooler looks to be just fine. So again, this is just kind of what happens when you're messing with stuff and replacing a lot of parts. You find stuff that fits or doesn't fit, and when we're dealing with 20-year-old vehicles, you're stuck with a lot of aftermarket parts, and they do not always fit right. So I'm going to try to source some other stuff and see what happens, and then just move on from there. All right, so it's later on in the night. Just going to give a quick update here. Had to take a break, do dinner and all the family stuff. But I'm going to get back to work on it while everybody's sleeping. The transmission stuff's mostly lined out. I do have an issue with those trans lines. I ordered some new ones for tomorrow, so I'm going to go pick those up, and then I'll resume some work on that to see if I can get the transmission cooler stuff all done. But we're going to start working on the engine. Probably the most exciting part now, after all the prep work that's gone into it. You really can't just jump right into it, get everything lined out on the engine first, and then do all that other stuff that we did. I really needed the prep work to be done leading all up to it. So, I know I have the electrical system going, powered up. That stuff all seems to be functioning. Transmission's now kind of set up where it needs to be. It's now stabilized. Once I get those cooler lines in, then I know that once it pumps transmission fluid, I'm not going to just puke transmission fluid everywhere. Another reason why I needed that lined out. So now we're going to work on the engine. So first thing I'm going to do is pull the intercooler out, and that is the in the engine here. Remove the rag, but right here in this part of the lower intake setup, it has an air to water intercooler setup, and it's a very important piece to keep the engine, or at least the charge air temperatures, low enough where you don't have an issue. It's really sludged up after 75,000 miles, really common on this setup. So I need to get that out. I'm gonna get that cleaned up, but then once I get all that out of the way, we're gonna throw some new spark plugs in and start getting some of the miscellaneous stuff set up and cleaned up, ready for it to get back into final assembly. And you heard that right, final assembly. So that's what we're gonna do. This will be a little light tear down and prep and spark plugs and things, and then that's it. Let's just get to work. All right, so I have the intercooler assembly out. We look down here in the bottom, just some oil and coolant that spilled out of the intercooler sitting down at the bottom of what they call the turkey pan. So this is actually in really clean shape. Some of the pictures I've seen posted through the years of previous Lightning engine owners where they do this job, it looks much, much worse. So this is actually in pretty good shape. Most of them look near this when they are done, with the exception of looking a little bit cleaner. But I'm just gonna get that fluid there soaked up, and then I can come back with some carb clean and just clean the rest of that out to get rid of what's left of the oil sludge. Looking here, this is the main sludge here in the intercooler. It's really not super bad, but it makes no sense to not clean it up while we're right here. I've got room out of the way, just get it as clean as possible. That way this engine will run at optimal conditions because of it. So you see, this is how deep it goes down into there. The bottom side of it, as you can see, doesn't look too bad. It's here towards the back where it's got the most sludge. Not near as bad up here towards the front. But what I'll do is I will take this to work, remove the this intercooler, which is this part, from the mid plate, which is this, via these bolts. And then I have a parts cleaning machine there. I tested it on some evaporators that were pretty oily and things like that, just to see what it would make the aluminum look like after cleaning it, and I was pretty happy with the results. And a lot of the guys through the years that have had Lightnings, they would literally spend an entire Saturday trying to clean this up by hand. I personally don't want to invest that much time into it because that's a pretty tedious process to just go through and clean it up by hand. So the fact that the parts washer seemed to do the trick, that's what I am going to go ahead and go through. All right, so I'm here. I got the front spark plug out, and I still have the back three on this side to take out. And I thought it was odd. This spark plug here didn't want to come out. I'm used to that, but if we zoom in and look, this hole should be clean. There shouldn't be that brownish stuff in there. That really just tells us that's the combustion gases escaping by. I can't even get my socket in on this one, and you can really tell how ugly that is down in there. Let me see if I can get it to focus better. Goodness, that looks terrible. So that hole is just filled up with all kinds of sludge and nastiness. So I'm going to have to soak that in penetrant, clear it out, blow it out, and I'm going to do that on both the back ones. I can see if I can get a shot of the back one because I can't even see it. I can't get my socket in these back two at all. But you just look down in there and they're just filled with crap. So this is what you fight. This could also be coupled with this engine sat in a wrecked vehicle, and it could have been opened to some of the elements, so we could have got some stuff in there with that. So this thing did run before it was pulled, so the basic mechanical stuff should be just fine. I have run into this on regular day-to-day mechanicking, wrenching, and it's not a big deal, scary deal, whatever. It's more annoying than anything. It's just stuff us mechanics run into. So again, I'm gonna have to just spray some cleaner in there, let it soak, clear it out, spray some oils in there, and do some things like that. So I don't know how much more work I'm going to be able to get done this weekend, because I'm going to have to take my time with that. I don't want to do anything rash and ruin cylinder heads and things like that. I'll probably wait till I can get some of my better tools from work, and I don't know if I'm going to stop by and do that or not. Whatever, but that's where we're at, and I just wanted to catch that. All right, so after that last segment I just showed you, or those couple of segments, kind of at a stopping point here, waiting on some parts. I'm gonna have to get some more parts. I found some more broken electrical connectors. I didn't catch that on video, but I did take some pictures of that for the owner. So I'm gonna have to source some more things. You know, these projects really just kind of add up with the little things, and I can get by. I probably, there's a lot of little things I probably could have, you know, not bought, or whatever you want to call it, but when I do a project, I do it right. I want it to be solid. I don't want it to have perennial little problems and things like that. You know, if you're going to do it right. And so that's kind of where we're at, is not just rushing through it to make it go. It's, you know, let's make sure it's right to where when it goes for a long time. But yeah, seeing the spark plugs the way they were, I'm really happy that I decided to tackle it. It's also a little frustrating that, you know, I'm going to have to spend another couple days going through some stuff instead of just zipping right through things and getting to quick assembly. But, you know, this stuff's to be expected. I'm not going to let it discourage me. You know, I overcome all the other obstacles. So this is really just a very small speed bump here of stuff to tackle, but still making great progress. Like I said, it's nice to be working on the engine itself. You know, I've got this thing torn down. I got all the vacuum lines out of the way, you know, to where when I start assembling it, I can get the main components in, and then I can more properly lay things out where they need to be, and it's going to look much cleaner. It's going to look really right, and I'm going to be really happy when it's all back together, and when you pop the hood, it's going to look like it's supposed to be there. Anybody that's been in the hot rodding world knows there's two things that you notice when you pop the hood. You either pop the hood and say, what is going on underneath there? I mean, the car can run and drive, but there's just like stuff everywhere. And then there's times when you pop the hood, you're like, damn, it looks good under there. And I want that damn factor. I want people to go up in there and they say, wow, this, you know, you wouldn't know that this was a swap truck. So anyway, enough of me blabbing. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Thanks for watching. I'm out.